So before we get started, here's a question for everybody. How many of you have noticed a shift in your business in the last 2 years? Or if you're new, it's just harder than you thought it was going to be. Corey's got a hand raised. Jen's got a hand raised. Nate's got a hand raised, right? Everyone's got their hand raised. So as we're approaching this training, at least today, I want to challenge your mindset around what it takes to be a successful real estate agent right now. Okay? Because when markets shift, we can't keep doing the same things we've already done and expect to get the results that we used to get, right? We can only take the market that we're in. We can't force our will upon the market, right? We're all market participants. And so at the end of the day, when things shift, we in turn also have to shift. And sometimes it's a little bit more than just a shift in activities, right? It's a shift in mindset. It's not, hey, I used to do this all before. If I keep doing it this way, it's going to be great. No, that was built for something 2 years ago, right? And so where I find this program is going to fit in, just so that you guys who are in multiple different types of coaching, you got gurus, you got coaches, you got all sorts of other things you're doing. Where I think this fits in is call it a 200 level real estate class, right? 100 level real estate is, did you get your license? Do you know how to set up a search on MLS? Okay. 200 level is, okay, Jared, I know how to walk. I know how to do all this stuff. I know what my day should generally look like. I'm just not getting the results that I expect. So let's identify what we're doing right now so we can get the results that we want for our business right now. And then you get into 300 level, 400 level stuff, whether you're talking about Ninja or Bold or Chevron that we offer through the brokerage. Those classes are more intended as mindset, working on your business, right? The difference there, though, is if you don't have a business to work on, you got to build the business in order to work on it, right? And so the goal today is to challenge your mindset just slightly around what it's going to take to be in the market right now and be a successful real estate agent. This is all based on data that Stone Team has collected over the last 10 years. Okay. And so it's not about, this is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit of accountability. It's going to be a little bit of business planning. It's going to be a little bit of mindset. Today is about giving yourself the right framework and the shift in mindset so that you put yourself in a position to be successful. And as we get on to the other modules, week 2, week 3, week 4, as we kind of get into this, it's going to be an 18-week class that we're going to post. Everything we do is going to be tied back into productivity. What's the point in learning how to do an open house, best in class open house, if you don't generate any leads or don't get any business moving as a result of it? What's the point in my opinion, maybe losing listing presentations and just all that time and energy you put into leads, it's just gone. Maybe we don't get the listing, but we can convert them into a raving fan or a referral partner into the future, right? So this is about treating our business like a funnel and understanding that every single drop we get into that funnel, we have to monetize in a certain way so that we can kind of hit the metrics that we want to hit. And we're going to be challenging your mindset around some of the activities that you guys are doing to really try to understand, at least today, whether it's something that we should be leaning into to help us get more business in the future, or whether it's something that maybe we need to pause on or do less of, or in an extreme, maybe it's something we just need to erase from our calendar, or set it up as more of like a treat for us instead of something that's an actual cornerstone of generating business. Okay? And so as we go on, ask questions, interrupt me. This class is for you. We've got an hour and a half. I have no idea if it's going to take that long. It could take 60 minutes. It could take 45. We'll kind of see how it goes, right? Welcome to being a crash dummy with the first round of everything they didn't teach you in real estate school. And, after that, we'll kind of get your feedback, go into our accountability exercise and go from there. Does that sound good? Cool. All right, sweet. So let me share my screen. And we're just going to start jumping into it. Give me 1 second. Thank you to Lyra, by the way. She did some awesome slides. Jem is working on some listing presentation and buyer presentation stuff. So we're going to be rolling out a lot of this type of formatting and ability for you guys if you want to be doing slides and presentations of your own. And we can kind of jump into it. So week one, as I said, it's about challenging some of those beliefs that you guys currently have around what the industry is requiring of us. And when I say us, I mean all market participants. This is not... There is no difference, in my opinion, between the activities you should be doing just because of who you are. It doesn't matter what your sphere is. It doesn't matter where your business is coming from. All that matters for our purposes are how big do you want your business to be? Because if you tell me, hey, Jarrett, I want to close 6 deals this year. Great. Did my screen already blow up? If you want to close 6 deals this year, that's totally cool, right? This system will help you get all 6 of those deals closed. If you tell me, hey, Jared, I want to close 24, 48, 60 transactions this year, great. This system will help you get there. The only difference is going to be, is that what you want? And are you going to be able to commit to the vision of yourself that is going to require to get there? Because if we want to grow, growth typically transitions, they're always painful, right? If you didn't have to go through some sort of pain to level up, then everyone would just level up, right? If we're not in this industry, real estate especially, it's expecting that it's just going to be easy to level up. So what we're going to cover today is a 90-day vision for your craft, right? So like, let's figure out where you want to be in 90 days. Once we know where you want to be, then we can take you from the end point to the beginning point and basically re-engineer or reverse engineer your goals into weekly targets. Once we know your weekly targets, we can start figuring out what are your best lead sources. What are those things that you should be leaning into to get you more business than those things you should be stop doing or maybe minimizing in terms of priorities. From there, we'll build out an awesome time-blocked execution plan, and we'll kick off some of the weekly accountability that we're going to start doing as a group together right here. Because I think one of the main things that we lose in not having a program like this before is a way to hold each other accountable. Now, this is a voluntary class, right? No one here is forced to be here. You're independent contractors. We can't force you guys to take classes, right? That being said, if you're willing to be vulnerable and you're willing to put in the work every week and you're willing to tell people about your goals and what you did, how you did your learning lessons, and you're able to be accountable to the other people in this room who are all taking this class, I guarantee you, you are going to become more successful. Because how many times do we say, oh yeah, I'm going to do that thing, and we're the only ones that know about it, and then it doesn't get done, and we say, oh, don't worry about it, we'll get it done next week. And then it doesn't happen that week. And then we say, oh, don't worry about that, it'll happen the week after that. And then what happens? Now we're at least 2, 3, 4 weeks behind where we should be for our business if we just held an appointment with ourselves. And sometimes it's easy to let ourselves down, but we feel a lot worse, even though we shouldn't letting down a partner. So as part of the everything you didn't learn in real estate school, or everything you didn't teach you in real estate school, we are going to have group accountability at the end of every session or the beginning of every session. And we're going to make sure that as a group, we help each other through this process, right? There are going to be weeks that we blow our goals out of the water, and we should be sharing the lessons and the wins whenever that happens, right? There are also going to be weeks that we have challenges. I'm going to pick on you, Nate. How long have we been trying to get this YouTube thing up and running with content every week? 2 months now? You're on mute. Sorry, bud.
Technically, since the end of January.
Okay, 4 months. So I'm sure we have a ton of learning lessons about how to not get YouTube content started on a video. We should share that with our people, right? So if we have goals to make 50 contacts in a week, 100 contacts in a week, hold multiple open houses, we time block our plan, and we still can't figure it out, we should be vulnerable and acknowledge we did not hit our goals. And we should be seeking guidance and input from everyone else to make us better and more efficient, right? Because even with the people in this room, I guarantee you, just the 5 or 6 people we have in this room right now, there is not one situation that anyone has dealt with from a lead generation or business building perspective that someone else in this call has not yet dealt with. And so if we are public with our goals and public with our accountability, that'll help us improve ourselves and help us hold ourselves to a higher standard. Is that okay? Sweet. So let's jump into it. All right. So here's the big idea for today.
Yeah.
Great. The big idea. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems and your beliefs. Your business is a reflection of your standards, not your intentions. Does that resonate with anyone right now? Seeing some head nods, right? Corey raises his hand. Corey, what does that mean for you right now?
Well, it's logical. And as someone who's been through all of the shiny object syndromes and all of the do this, do that, give this a shot, give that a shot, it just resonates because things can get out of your purview, out of sight, out of mind. And, like you said, sometimes you're playing whack-a-mole, and this business is the king of businesses in terms of there's always something that you can be doing. The question is, what are you going to do? And so this really just sums that up. It's like you have to take action. You said it best when you started this call. Like, this isn't going to be something where we talk about what we're going to do and then not do it. It has to be something where, reflection of your standards / actions, right? And not just what you intend. So it speaks to me for somebody who's been in the business for a decade and has gone through seasons of burnout several times. So it's a great reflection on the fact that it's like take action now. And you started this out, and then I'm going to stop talking. You should not call on me if you don't want some kind of deep thoughts here. But you kick this off with what used to work does not work now. And that is a fact. And we are either willing to acknowledge that or we're going to suffer by not acknowledging it. So I hope that helps.
For sure, dude. I'm going to steal one from the old KW Bold days, which is why I'm giving him credit for it. And, they used to always start out Bold, which was designed for high-level producers. It was not designed for baby agents, which is what it kind of turned into. It was designed for $10 million plus producing agents, guys and girls closing 20 plus transactions a year. And they always used to start out with the first story in Bold was the story about, I'm spacing out his name now, the UCLA basketball coach. What was his name? The really famous one. I'm just spacing out. Wooden. Thank you. Wooden. Thank you. Yeah. So John Wooden.
Sports. I know sports.
I got Matt in my corner for sure. You're on the trivia team for sure. So John Wooden, there's a legend about John Wooden in his first day of UCLA practice, right? He had like the top recruits in the country, like the best players. They knew they could shoot jumpers and slam dunk and do the whole thing. And I'm probably messing up the basketball lingo because I'm not a basketball guy. If you went and did the first thing of John Wooden's first coaching practice every single year, he taught his players how to put on their socks properly. You have the top basketball players in the country sitting in the locker room. You have one of the top basketball coaches, if not coaches of any sport of all time, right there. And they devote an entire practice to putting on your socks correctly. the theory was that if one of my best players doesn't know how to put on their socks and they get a blister in the middle of the game and that impacts their performance, what could happen? Maybe he's a half step late to get the pass. If it's really, really bad, maybe he can't put minutes on the floor. If my best player gets a blister and I could have prevented that by just teaching him how to put on his socks properly, that could save my team a national championship. And I think this is an important corollary for where we're at right now. We all have really big goals. We would not be entrepreneurs if we didn't have bigger visions for ourselves from where we're at right now, right? And if we don't do the basics, if we don't set our standards and say, these are my standards, no matter what happens this week, this day, this month, I'm going to get these standards done because this is what it requires me to achieve my 90-day vision, then if we don't have that, what are we doing? And so today is about getting back to blocking and tackling while still keeping an eye on the future. And we still want to make sure that we put ourselves in this position where we are going to know everything we need to do to get that done. And we're going to build these systems over time so that we can get used to it. And then once you build a system, then you can add on new systems. You can iterate, right? But blocking and tackling, even going to the NFL, right? Half of preseason is blocking and tackling. Why? Because it's the most important thing. Who cares about drawing up the craziest trick play of all time if you can't block the guy sitting across from you on the playing field? So that's what we're going to do in real estate. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start our vision casting exercise of really just building our vision for where we want to be 90 days from now. Okay? We're not going to share. This is not a group session yet, but I want everyone to write it down. One of the things I've learned in real estate, and at least in business and sales, is you can say this stuff all you want. You can say it in your head. You can have something really drafted well. And as soon as you leave and go on to the next thing, if you didn't write it down, it's gone. So for the next few prompts, I'm going to challenge you guys. I don't care if it's on a notepad. I don't care if you're typing out a text on your phone. Maybe you're sending yourself an email. Maybe you have a Google Doc for the training that we're going to be going through. Just make sure you write down your answers. Okay? If you write it down, it becomes real. So here's the first prompt. Where do you want your business and your life to be 90 days from now? Think about what success will look like for you. What does that mean in terms of lead generation? What does that mean in terms of a portfolio of clients that you're going to be working with in 90 days? What does that mean for closings that you might have over the next 3 months? What does that mean for systems and process? What does that mean about fulfillment from your role? Right? And when we have all these things in our business, what is that going to mean for our life? How much more time are we going to have to enjoy it with our loved ones? How much more time are we going to have Matt Gallegos to play golf more? Because he doesn't play enough. Matt needs to play more golf. Right? How much more time can we spend with our kids? What's that vacation look like when we have an extra 5 or 10 grand in our bank account? Now we can go out and do whatever we want to do. What does that mean for the fall and holiday season when we've closed enough business between May and September that we don't have to worry about those closings in November and December? And the best part is when we put our blocking and tackling together, we're going to get those closings anyway. We're just designing for the next 90 days. So take 30 more seconds and finish up your answer here. Where do you want your business and your life to be 90 days from now? Why don't you guys finish up? We'll give you 5 more seconds. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. In addition to where do you want to be in the next 90 days? We're going to get a little bit more specific. Okay, we'll go one by one, so don't need to jump ahead, but we're going to go across the bottom row. So the next question is, if you haven't already written this down, I want you to get very, very specific about what have you accomplished. What are some things that you would be willing to write home to mom and dad about? Or maybe you're going to be really happy and share with your partner, hey, look at what I did at work over the last 3 months. What are you going to tell your kids about? When they ask you what you're doing at work or what you're proud of, what are you going to say to them about what you've accomplished? Let's get specific. What systems have you implemented? What new daily activities are you doing? What does your database look like? What are the quality of your conversations look like? How about personal life? Things you've been able to do that are on your bucket list that you haven't been able to do yet because now you have the freedom. Maybe it's improving relationships with people in our personal lives, because we spend so much time wasting time in real estate that if we could just clean up that time, get more productive, we would be able to be more present and spend more time with the people we love. That feels like an accomplishment to me. And by the way, I'm guilty of that one. So that's what I'm working on the next 90 days. All right, let's move on to number 2. What's something that I stopped tolerating? We all have this right now. And if you don't, I'd love to schedule a conversation with you on a sidebar, whether you're on my team or not. What is something going on in your business or in your life right now that you are tolerating because it doesn't add anything to it doesn't add any value, but you just don't want to have to either stop it, deal with it, or whatever. But it's causing you stress. It's not giving you P&L. Maybe the P&L that it's giving you isn't worth the stress. By the way, this could be personal or otherwise, or business. What did I stop tolerating? I stopped tolerating clients standing me up for appointments. P&L is profit and loss now. Profit and loss, or the profitability of your business. Maybe I stopped tolerating, following up with clients who stand me up and don't respect my time. Maybe I stopped tolerating taking networking appointments with people because they know I'm a real estate agent, which means they know I know everyone, and I never get anything back out of those networking appointments because these people never follow up with me. Maybe it's just stopping tolerating people giving you a look whenever you say you're a real estate agent. I don't do well with that. Right? What are some things that you're going to stop tolerating? All right. Question number, 3, call it 4, whatever, but what are hard things that you overcame or will overcome over the next 90 days? Transition is never easy. I'm assuming you're here because you want to grow your business, right? Or build it in a way that works better for you, right? It will be hard to make changes. It will be hard to get in new routines of new things that you're probably going to have to start doing in order to hit your goals in a harder market. You're probably going to have hard conversations with people who used to be partners or vendors for you in the future and are no longer serving you or your business needs right now. Right? Maybe you need to have some hard conversations with your family. Hey fam, I really need 2 hours a day of uninterrupted just bunker time so I can make my calls so that we can afford that Disney vacation this fall. I'm assuming that's a hard conversation. But what are some other hard things that you might be challenging yourself to overcome over the next 90 days? And lastly, what are 1 or 2 new standards that you're going to set for yourself? Going back to that first slide. The level of your business does not rise to your goals, but it falls to your standards. So, in all honesty, you could just stop this class right now. You don't need to show up for the next 17 weeks. You could stop this right. You could leave this video right now. If you do nothing else for the next 90 days, what is the one new standard that you're going to set for yourself that you will hit, that at the end of 90 days, it is no longer, it doesn't seem aspirational. It is just what you do. I'm going to make my daily set of contacts every single day. I'm going to save all my follow-up for clients that is not a fire drill to a certain time block period of time so that I have enough time to do what I need to do throughout the day and not just be playing whack-a-mole all the time. I commit to myself that I'm not working 7 days a week anymore. I will take 8 hours a week, 1 day of time as a day off of rest. I'll brainstorm because you can't ever turn off this business entirely, but like, what is one day where I'm going to take a break and just not be doing the thing that is in my business, but I'm going to be thinking about it or on my business? So what new standards are you going to set for yourself? Are we all good? Everyone good? Cool. All right, sweet. So let's move on. So I hope if you look through these 5 answers, you guys are a little bit scared at what you just wrote. Is anyone scared? Maybe a little nervous about what they wrote? Maybe it's overwhelming. Oh my gosh, this is a lot. These are really big things that I have to do over the next 90 days. Anyone? Are we all on mute? Still writing?
I am.
Okay. We'll give you a second. Yep, take your time. All good. All right, let's get moving. So Jen, I'm sorry. Do you feel like these standards that you've set for yourself are a little daunting or a little scary, or do you feel like it's easy peasy, whatever? What else you got, Jared?
It's scary. Definitely.
It's
scary. Oh, yeah.
Okay. And it's scary. Great. It should be scary. You should be scared of what this transition is because we know it's going to be hard, right? And when you go through this transition over the next 90 days, Jen, how are you going to feel?
Successful. Right now, it's more accountability on my own and trying to not feel like I shouldn't be here. And then, just trying to kind of keep myself from procrastinating because of those feelings. So I think if I accomplish my goals at the end of the 90 days, I'll feel successful.
Can I maybe rephrase it really quick for you?
Absolutely.
Are you saying that right now you're playing not to lose, and to make these changes, you need to play to win?
Yes.
That's a mindset shift, right?
Absolutely.
When you play not to lose, you will lose. Because you're not pushing forward, you're just protecting while everyone else in the market is pushing forward, right? And so if we're not all advancing our business every single day, I guarantee you there's someone else that's doing that And if we do enough days, we're not advancing our business every day, we are going to lose all those people that are taking every day to advance their business, right? So Jen, you do belong here, Jen. We value you.
Enjoy it.
Oh, thank you.
So let's play to win. Let's achieve these standards. Let's do this. Let's win. Okay. Is anyone else nervous about these standards or these goals they've written down? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll step up.
Go for it, bud.
It's kind of on the same lines as Jennifer's. It's definitely, for me, when I accomplish these things in 90 days, it's going to be a night and day difference because I'm going to be more disciplined. And self accountability is definitely something I also struggle with. So at the end of these 90 days, it's going to be something I'm very proud of that I will achieve.
Love it, man. So here's going to be your homework. Every day, I want you to read the answers to this. Right? Let's remind ourselves every single morning, what are we trying to achieve by the end of August, beginning of September? Right? That's 90 days from now. You guys could change your businesses in 90 days. That's all it takes. It's just a little bit of discipline, like you said, Noah. It's a little bit of accountability, and literally 90 days from now, we could be having a much different energy throughout this room. Okay, so how do we get there? This is great, Jared. I can write down the stuff all day, but now what? All right, how do we do this, right? So, oftentimes, the reason why we haven't been proactive about these changes without a coach or without coaching in general is because we have limiting beliefs that we don't even know exist. We have blind spots, right? And part of what I want to do today is show you how to rewrite your limiting beliefs into positive identity affirmations that can help you achieve these goals and get more comfortable with change, right? Sometimes the reason for lack of success is because, frankly, we're scared of the change of what that big success would yield. So subconsciously, we torpedo ourselves from achieving that goal. If you're someone who feels like you've never hit a big goal before, and you just wrote down this huge manifesto about what's going to change over the next 90 days, you just might be scared because you're just not used to hitting big goals. We have to change that for you to be successful in this industry. Right? So if you're one of those people that has said, hey, Jared, I've never hit a big goal before, I don't know how to do this change in 90 days, I'm going to challenge you to say, stop saying you're someone who's never hit a big goal before. Start saying you are a consistent person who finishes what you start. This is not going to be an overnight shift. I promise you, if it was an overnight shift, you all would be doing that already. Hey, Noah, if you could get these goals that you just wrote down by changing something overnight like that, and tomorrow morning you show up a new person, would you already have done it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So now knowing that it's going to take more effort than just snapping our fingers, going to bed and waking up in the morning, and all of a sudden we have this pixie dust sprayed all over us, we need to tell ourselves that we're a consistent person who finishes what we start. Right? Okay. What's another limiting belief? I am not consistent. Hey, Jared, you're talking a lot about consistency here, right? And blocking and tackling. Oh, Jen raises her hand. Blocking and tackling, consistency, showing up every day, minding yourself of these goals every single day. But Jared, I'm not consistent. I would tell you, Jen, so I'm picking on you because I saw you raise your hand just now. I would tell you, Jen, you will now just set your boundaries to protect your vision. And I'm looking at you, Jen, because I know you have your fingers in 3 or 4 different businesses right now. Plus everything else you got going on in your life, right? So, yeah, right? And so let me just ask you a question, yes or no. If hypothetically you were someone who set boundaries to protect your vision for your real estate business, would you be more successful in everything else?
Oh, yeah, probably.
If we say, this is my real estate time, and this is my other time, and this is my other time, and when I'm in this time, I will be there 120% because I'm attacking this with a passion yet known to mankind, and you blocked it off like that, you would be more successful in each of your blocks than if you're like, oh wait, I gotta go do this over here. Oh no, I gotta do this over here, right? Like if you're not setting boundaries for yourself and you're being taken 18 different directions, like I know you are, Jen, it's probably really hard to be successful, right?
Oh yeah, my ADD definitely shows in my business and how I work things. I'm half finished projects everywhere, and I'm gonna come back to this there, and oh yeah.
Well, then I've got 2 affirmations for you, Jen. You are now a consistent person who doesn't go halfway. You finish what you start. Right now, you finish
Yes,
what you
sir.
start. No more halfway done stuff. Okay? And on top of which, you're going to set boundaries for your goal. Because if you don't spend the time, this is going to take time to build the muscles, to get in the habits, to build the systems, build the routines, get in the rhythm, right? And it's going to feel really uncomfortable to start. What's the worst day ever at the gym? You haven't worked out in months or years, maybe for some of us. What's the worst day ever at the gym? No, Werner, don't raise your hand because I know you go every day.
Of course.
The day you don't show up.
I was going to say the second day of a new workout routine. The first day, you are pumped. Yeah, let's go. I'm gonna lose all this weight. I'm gonna be shredded. I got my beach body by the summer. Like, let's do this, right? You go do your lift, like adrenaline down, you're pumped up, you got your like pre-workout shake or whatever, you get through it. All right, I'm home, I'm eating good, well, whatever. I'm taking my rest, I have a nap day, I'm good. I wake up the next morning, and what happens? You are sore, you are tired, you are hungry. And what is the last thing you want to do? Go to the gym. Right? And what's the best thing? To go to the gym, because it's never going to be harder than the second day. You are max sore, max tired, max hungry, right? Going to the gym the second day will be the hardest workout you ever do. And I promise it'll get easier 3, 4, 5, 6. Building your real estate business is the same way. We get off this call, and hopefully you guys are stoked. Oh my God, I've got these great visions, right? I'm going to do this over the next 90 days. I've got to set the standard. And when I implement the standard of the next 90 days, my business cannot go lower than this floor, which I am about to set for it, right? Today, tomorrow might be easy. I promise you, Thursday, Friday, Saturday might be hard. Because now you're 2 or 3 days removed from this conversation. You're removed from the group. You're out on your own. Oh, I only need to make X number of contacts. I can make it up on Saturday. Oh, I can do 2 open houses next weekend, right? Catch up for the one that I didn't do this weekend. And now we're back on the slippery slope. You're not setting boundaries. You're not being consistent. Things don't get done, right? So this is about setting boundaries on your time and telling yourself, and not only telling yourself, but believing in yourself that you are a consistent person. Okay? So let's talk about income. Because, Jared, we're all here to make money, and I'm one of those people who would sit with these coaches like me, before and be like, stop talking about mindset, man. I'm one of these like self-motivating people. I got this. Just tell me what I need to do. I'll run through a brick wall, right? Now we actually got to put some numbers down so we can really frame what is this transition going to look like for ourselves. Okay. So when we talk about income, the first thing you should always do is do your best not to guess. Okay. Build the following exercise initially from what you think you need to make from your business over the next 12 months. Right? You can't make all this money in the next 90 days. Sorry, it's probably not going to happen. Now, if all of you find that $5 million buyer that closes in the next 90 days, and now you made your 150 grand a year, awesome. Let's do that. I don't know about you, but these $5 million buyers are banging down my door every day. So like, we got to figure out another way of making 100 grand a year. Right. So when we're talking about what we need to make from this business and what is this shift going to require, really what you need to make is going to be the foundation of your business plan and also the transition that we're about to go through. Okay. So real quick, we don't need to publicize this. We can just start thinking about it. We are going to refine this as the next slide would say, just a heads up. We are going to refine this when we go into and do our personal finance section as part of everything they didn't teach you in real estate school. So we are going to have an entire day devoted to personal finances, honing in this goal, really making sure we understand where our cash is going. For right now, let's just take a high level estimate of where we think we need our gross commission to be in the next 12 months. Okay. So first of all, what business expenses do you have? Most people at Blue Pebble are on at least a $20,000 cap. That's going to be a business expense. You got desk fees. You don't have realtor dues anymore because you're at Blue Pebble. You're welcome. Right. What else do you do though? Like Nate, I'm assuming you go out to happy hour and you probably have dinners and client lunches that are not part of the Blue Pebble thing. So you got to spend that money outside of your cap and split. Right. Noah, I know you do some cold calling on your own. Maybe you need to pay for, or at least budget to pay for those expenses or higher splits that you get them from your team. Right. Let's see. I don't know. Corey does a ton of events, does a lot of pop-ins and drop-bys and that kind of stuff. All that cash is coming from somewhere else. Those are business expenses. GTM, RE Colorado, DocuSign if you use it, whatever. These are all business expenses. Cool. All right. Now, what about personal expenses that are not allocated to your business? This includes your mortgage, your rent, your food, your car payment, gas. Even though you might be deducting gas, you still gotta live, right? This is the fun. This is stuff with the kids. This is your vacations. This is everything that you're gonna spend personally. Okay. Now, if we're only making enough money to satisfy our business expenses and our personal expenses, what's going to happen? We're just always going to be on the hamster wheel, right? If we're not making enough money to save, give ourselves a cushion, level up, invest in retirement, right? We're always, do you want to be doing this when you're 90? How many 90-year-old real estate agents are driving around closing 20 deals a year? You find her. I mean, what?
I know 3.
All right. Well, we need to recruit them to Blue Pebble. Outside of that, I don't know any of them. Okay. So I don't know about you. When I'm 90, hopefully, God willing, and I'm in the old person home, I am not driving around showing people homes. Tierra won't be. All right. So Tierra, you got to show us how to build a cushion and save cash, right? It's not just about your business and personal expenses. You will never get off the hamster wheel if you do not save and build yourself a cushion. If you're not making enough money to be setting aside, maybe to buy yourself an investment property, to be investing in your IRAs, right? To be building a retirement for yourself, then honestly, there are a lot easier, faster ways to make money than selling real estate. Right? I mean, we can all agree right now. Look at salaries. Even though it's a pretty bad job market, if we're only trying to make the 70 grand a year that we need to make to live, there are a lot of easier ways to do it than banging our head against the wall selling real estate. Right? Jen's nodding. I know Nate knows that. I just make a lot more money in corporate. Right? But we still got to make enough And we got to make sure we save and have a cushion. Now, the question should be, how big of a cushion should I be budgeting for, Jared? Right? And I would argue that's up to you. And most good financial planners, most good people that sit down and do budgets and do financial planning say you need to have 6 months of expenses built up before you're out of your cushion. So if you can look at your savings account, and by the way, you better have a different savings account than your business account and your checking account. We'll talk about this in our personal finance class. But if you look at your savings account and you don't have 6 months saved up, you better include that cushion into your goals right here to catch up. So that way, if something bad were to happen over the next 12 months, you've got cushion to survive it. Right? Oh, shoot. Something happened and I got to take a week off. I'm going to be out of town, out of service. I got to go. Family calls. Don't worry, Jared. I'm good. I got my cushion. I'm going to take a week out of it. I'm going to get back to my lead gen when I'm back. Awesome. Congratulations. That's what it's there for. Okay.
Now, Jared, are you including your business expenses in there along with your personal? For your
Good
personal?
question. I would say yes. Now, you don't need to include, let's say, your cap, right? Because you're not paying your cap as like a fixed expense, right? But if you have other fixed expenses, desk fees, subscriptions, other stuff that you're doing every month, I would bake that into my cushion as well. That's a great question, Nate, for sure. 6 months of I don't need to do anything, and I'm not worried because I can pay my business bills and I can pay my personal bills for 6 months. That should be your cushion. All right. Given all that, do we all have a number in our head about how much we need to make over the next 12 months? Approximately. We'll do more work on it, but do we have an estimate? Are we good? Okay. Like I said, I teased it. We're going to do more in our personal finance section. So I know there are different sections and different coaches and different activities. Don't worry. This is not a cold call only class. I promise you, this is not cold calling. Okay? I'm going to explain this. We're going to go into it, and then you guys can argue with me later. Okay? This is all data from Blue Pebble Stone Team that we've collected over almost a decade of tracking our numbers. Okay? And I'm just going to take you through what these numbers have reflected. All right. On average, if you're sticking to phone prospecting, you get one conversation for every 3 dials you make. So I don't care if you're calling expireds, if you're calling circle prospecting around an open house, if you're calling your database, just calling to say hi. Not everyone you call is going to pick up. So on our side, on average, it's about 1 in 3 picks up when you actually make the call. Okay. So out of every one person who picks up that you actually have what we would call a conversation or a contact with, i.e. you get past the initial, hey, it's Noah from Blue Pebble Homes, call and say blank, right? Every 10 conversations you have is going to lead to what we would call one nurture. Okay. A nurture is a lead, and you know who they are, where they live or where they want to move to, what they want to buy or what they want to sell, why they want to buy or sell, and when they want to buy or sell. You know the 5 W's. It could be as simple as, hey, John, it's Jared. How's it going? John being one of my referral partners from a networking event. Hey, John, how's it going? It's Jared. Hey, man, what's going on? How are you? Hey, just curious. This is a business call. We're looking for some first-time home buyers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just curious, who do you know in your network right now who maybe just had a kid graduate college and they're looking to buy their first home? Oh, actually, my friends, John and Sally, they've got this boy, Tristan. He just graduated from college. He's looking to move. He just graduated last month. I know they've been talking about making him move this summer. And I'm pretty sure he wants to buy in Denver, one of those like townhome things, probably a condo and lake house that I think Nate actually has listed right now. right? That is a nurture. That's a real lead. It doesn't count if you don't have all 5 W's. Just knowing that it's John and Sally's kid and that he wants to buy in the next 6 months, that's not a nurture. You have not done enough work to get that as a lead yet. Because you don't know how to follow up. Wouldn't you follow up differently if you knew he was a first-time home buyer and just graduated college than if he was just their kid, maybe getting married, moving back to Colorado, starting a family? Slightly different follow-up, right? So the 5 W's will give you all the information you need to actually call it a nurture or call it a real lead. If you prospect that lead properly, on average, you are going to sign 1 client for every 10 nurtures that you get. Now, if you can convert this at a higher rate, that is freaking awesome. Awesome. If you've been doing this for a few years, though, I hope that you can empathize with me when I say every single referral we ever get is the hottest referral ever, and yet not everyone transacts with me, and I have no idea why. Maybe a third of my leads don't ever get back in touch with me, right? Maybe a third already have a real estate agent. They didn't tell me about it. You know, no matter how hot that lead is, we've found it's always a 10% conversion rate from nurture to client. Always. Cool. Now, do you close every client that you sign? No. On average, you close 75 to 85% of the clients that you sign. So if our goal is to get 5 closings, we need to have more than 5 clients. If only 80% of our clients are going to close, especially now where listings are taking months, right? How many of us are about to have a listing expire? We've had a listing for 6 months and maybe the listing's about to expire because the market's slower. Yep, me too. That's not going to close, but that was a client. That goes against my 80%, right? So what does this mean? It means that if we want 1 closing in our pipeline, we need to be having 125 conversations with people to get that closing. That's not per day. It's not per week. It's not per month. We're just saying if you want 1 closing, how quickly you get that closing is how quickly you get to 125 conversations. The math is this. 1 closing closes from, say, 80% of your clients close, right? So 1 closing means you had 1.25 clients. 1.25 clients means you had 10 times that in terms of the nurtures. So you had 125 clients, right? Nurtures. And then 10 conversations get a nurture. Now you got 125. Sorry, 1.25 times 10 is 12.5 times 10 is 125. I can do math, I promise. It's like that. So I'm not asking for hands raised. You don't need to, there's no self-reporting here. Let's just think about our numbers. A lot of people believe that you need significantly fewer conversations to generate 1 deal. So my question to you is, based on your data and your experiences right now, is this closer to what you're seeing, or is it something a lot lower than this? If you're a lot lower, you got to lean into whatever it is that's generating you that business, because the market would tell you the data is more like this. And the higher the interest rates go up and the smaller the buyer pool goes, this number will only go up. So if you want to close a deal, another way to think about it is 375 dials. Now here's the shortcut for you. I said this is not a cold call class, and it is not a cold call class. I built my business cold calling. That is for very strong-willed people who don't mind awful times on the phone. 4 hours a day, smile and dial, expireds. I can do this, right? Not everyone can sit there for 4 hours a day and cold call. I don't want to anymore, right? The difference between calling and networking, it's all about getting to the conversation, right? So if you're one of those people that has a huge network in town and you don't need to dial anymore because you just know so many people, and so instead of cold dialing or cold open houses, you're doing more network follow-up and networking events and coffee appointments, all that kind of stuff, fine. You don't need 375 of those. You need 125 conversations. But if you're someone that doesn't have a big enough database or a big enough networking group where you can have 125 conversations as frequently as you need to get the deals closed, then you really need to start thinking about how you're going to expand the conversation at bats that you have. And we can talk about strategies for that. In fact, we'll do that when we get into our networking sessions and stuff, right? How to network, how to build a database. We're going to cover all that. For right now, though, we can't fix the size of our network overnight. All that we can fix is the frequency at which we touch those people. Okay? And so the mindset shift that I want you guys starting to think about is, if I want a deal, that is going to take 125 conversations with people in my database. However I get those conversations, I don't care. I just need to have 125 business conversations with people in my database to get a deal. Okay. So this is how it would kind of work at a high level. And this is how I want you guys thinking about it. Okay. Let's say week one, and like I said, you can choose your own path here. This is not, choose your own adventure. You can dial or you can have conversations. Either way, you get to conversations. So assuming a 1-to-3 ratio, if you make 180 dials in the first week, that'll lead to 60 conversations. That should give you 6 nurtures out of those 60 conversations. Of those 6 nurtures, you should sign half of a client, which means you get another half of a client closing 80%, right? If you up your volume to 240 or 300 contacts a week or dials a week, yielding 80 to 100 contacts, you'll get another 8 to 10 nurtures and closing another half to 1 deal a week, right? The thing I want to impress upon you guys here is you need a lot of dials to get these numbers to expect 1 per week. So it's okay. As long as your goals tell you it's okay not to close a deal every week, it's okay maybe to down this a little bit, but you still got to make sure these like half clients get done every week. Because just because you're not guaranteed for signing a client that week, the work you do that week will help the next week and the week after, and will help you build a pipeline. When I say 10% of your nurtures get closed, it does not mean that if you get 10 nurtures one day, one of those is going to close. Maybe it's 0. But the next day you get 12 nurtures and maybe 4 of them close, right? And then so it's not always as linear as this. But if we don't do the work every single day, we're never going to have the opportunity to build exponential results. We're always going to be catching up to where we should have otherwise been. Okay? And I think that's the main insight for this table. If you're only expected to sign half of a client, well, why are we doing the work? You're doing the work because you don't sign half clients. You sign 0s or 1s, right? And if you don't even do the work to put yourself in a position to expect a part of a client, then how are you ever going to get to a 1? How many more weeks or months is it going to take you to build up smaller and smaller fractions of activity just to get to that 1 if you're not doing this every single day? And you're not focused on it every single week. So here's what we're going to do now. Part of this, well, this is what's called a lead source audit. Now, I don't know how militant you guys are about your calendar. If you're anything like me, I have everything in my calendar. I got some grief from someone who said, oh, calendar invites are like text messages, you just send them out. If it's on my calendar, I take that very seriously. I'm too busy to have anything on my calendar that I don't do. Right? So here's what I want you guys to do. Look at your calendars, pull them up. So have your Google calendar, or whatever calendar you use right now, pull it up side by side with this presentation. And what we're going to start to do is take notes on our calendar, and we're going to start putting things into one of three buckets. Okay? So what are the buckets that we're going to put these activities into? Look at this week and next week. Look at the rest of the week just to get started, right? The first bucket is going to be your productive bucket. So if you're on my team, I hope Noah has been doing this because I haven't checked on him in a couple months. All of your lead gen time blocks are coded in green. Right, Noah? There we go. We code productivity hours in green. If that is time to make money, go make money. Go make green. If you have a green appointment in your calendar, you cannot miss it. You cannot miss it. Maybe that's open houses. Maybe that's door knocking around an open house. Maybe that's farming. Maybe that's a networking event you go to every week with people that actually refer you business, not just people you have coffee with. Right? If you generate business from a certain period of time, that appointment is in green, and you have to keep that appointment with yourself. I like that you're nodding, Noah. I'm glad you're doing that. That's great. All right. The second thing we're going to do, just to highlight ourselves and make it more apparent what we need to be doing, are those things that need more consistency. So I'm trying to think. If you guys have an example, I'd love it. But are there those weekly, maybe bi-weekly, monthly meetings where, they're really good and I get really good connections. I have really good contacts. Maybe these are open houses. Maybe these are door knocking. Maybe it's farming. Maybe it's that every other week networking group that you show up to every other time, right? But if you were doing it more consistently, you believe you would get results from it. Code those in yellow. Why yellow? Because that's a warning to yourself. You're warning yourself that you need to be focused on this. It's something that you have not been focused on. It generates you business. You need to be more consistent so you get more consistent business out of it. So let's just take inventory real quick. Have we all found a green thing on our calendar? Noah has. Nate's nodding. Jen? Did you find a green thing? Okay. Did we all find a yellow thing? Matt, did you find a yellow thing? Yeah. Sweet. Awesome. All right. The next thing are the things that are the hardest. No more. No more. It's not going to be on the slides, and we're all going to make a promise to each other. Being busy does not mean productive. Just because you're busy, it doesn't mean you're productive. Do we all agree with that? Yeah? Jen, I know you're trying not to laugh right now, but yeah, what's up, Noah?
Could you give an example of I hear you when you say being busy does not mean being productive. Could you give an example of something in a calendar that could be designated as red?
Yeah. For me, it's certain networking introductions that I don't take anymore. So after cold calling for a year, I decided that I was going to build my business by networking. And so I had, over the course of 2018 and 2019, I had my assistant counted up. I had over 1,000 coffee appointments, happy hours, and networking events in a 2-year period from 2018 to 2019. I average 2 a day every single day of the business calendar for 2 years in a row. At the end of that, as you can imagine, I was getting a lot of introductions to people that were not suited for my business. Right? Because the best way to meet people is by saying, hey, who can I introduce you to that would help your business? If I've had 1,000 appointments, I guarantee you I know somebody that can help you right now. Right? Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Let me introduce you to these guys or girls. And then I would get, oh, well, how can I introduce you? How can I help you? Well, actually, I need, high-performing real estate agents that know there's something more to their business. And I need mortgage officers who are sick of this industry and want to blow some things up. Who do you know? Well, I know a photographer. Would a real estate photographer probably help you? Nope. I'm good. Right? I'm not just going to meet with a real estate photographer because, they're a friend of a friend anymore. I would have done that 3 years ago, 5 years ago. I don't do that now. Right? Maybe Noah, just to pick on you a little bit, because I know your business pretty well. I know we had talked about your rugby stuff as being maybe a lead source for you, right? Maybe rugby as a lead source should be a red, and we keep it green for your recovery and personal time, right? But right now we're focused on building a business. And at the end of the day, if you have some social thing that is coming between, I'm not saying this is rugby for you, but hypothetically, right? If you have a social thing that you've committed to that's getting in between you and your goals, then you need to ask yourself a question. Is this thing worth sacrificing my vision for myself over the next 90 days? And if the answer is yes, then you need to go through this exercise all over again. Because you obviously do not consider a big enough goal or an important enough standard for you that if some social thing is willing to become between you and that standard, then you got to rethink what those standards are. Because standards are non-negotiable. Right? At Blue Pebble, you guys have an incredible power to use the mortgage division. It is our standard that we use a certain way of making an introduction as a way to ensure proper disclosure of our affiliate relationships and also ensure that we give a white touch experience to our clients, right? That is our standard. If someone starts making introductions and not doing all this stuff, we would be forced but to let them go because they're jeopardizing the firm, right? By not disclosing the relationship properly for their own self-benefit, and that doesn't align with our standard, right? So the question is, what are your standards, Noah, and what are you willing to do to achieve them, I would say. Okay. So let's go through this, and we'll add some more greens and reds. So in addition to your calendar and just all the other stuff that you have right now, we have several categories of leads and where leads come from that I want you guys to put a green, a red, or a yellow by. Okay? The first one is Sphere. So here's my question. This is how I would think about what to market. Does it generate business for me? If the answer is no, ask yourself, if I did it more consistently, would it generate business for me? If the answer is still no, then it's a red. But if it generates business for you right now and you're fulfilled by it, that's a green. If it doesn't generate enough business, but it's because you don't do it, then it's a yellow. And if you do it and it still doesn't generate business, then you have to mark it a red. Okay? So everyone put a color down by client, Sphere and past client prospecting. Let's look at the next one. Social media. The thirst trap of social media. Ask yourself, how many leads do you get from social media every single month? How much time do you spend posting on social media? If you are not getting any leads from social media, why are you spending 10 to 15 hours unless you're trying to build something and you're monitoring the data? Right? But if you think you have to be on social media and you're not getting any leads from it, or people aren't mentioning to you, oh, that was a great video, why are you doing it? Stop. All right, let's look at the next one. How about vendor referrals? How many of us are actively going to our network of vendors? Whether that's title partners, mortgage partners, roofers, plumbers, electricians, other people like stagers, other people we bring in to help us with our transactions. Are we asking them for referrals? If we're not, you better be. You're giving them a layup business. Isn't business the mutual exchange of goods? So if you're giving them something, aren't you in the right to be able to ask for it back? Vendor referrals. I'm going to put events and open houses in the same bucket because they're kind of the same. At the end of the day, if you don't advertise an event, if you don't advertise an open house, you're never going to see benefit from it. So are you getting business by hosting events and hosting open houses? If you're not, the question is, would you if you actually did it? And if the answer is still no, then it's probably red. Okay. Before we get into this, think about yourself, right? Take 30 seconds right now. What are some other lead sources that we haven't yet talked about that you know you do, or you know you prospect, and let's give it an honest assessment. Is that a green thing, a yellow thing, or a red thing? Farming. Classic. See you later, Matt. Appreciate you coming. We'll be posting this online here pretty soon, so you can watch the rest of it. So farming is a great one. Well, I really, really want to farm. See you later, bud. I really, really want to farm. And I really think I get leads, but like I don't get any right now. Well, okay, how often are you door knocking? Oh, once every 2 months. Well, that's not how you farm. That's either a yellow or a red. If you only have time to door knock once every 2 months, don't be farming. That is an every week activity. Mailers. I don't get anything from mailers. Yeah, because you send them out twice a year. Our team used to send them out twice a month. Right? So the question is not, does it work first? I think it's, are you doing it consistently? If you're doing it consistently and it doesn't work, then you need to eliminate it. And if you're not going to eliminate it, you need to get coaching on how to make it better. Okay? So the goal today to get us immediately into production is to focus on 2 sources of business for the next few weeks. Okay? So ask yourself this question based on your little audit that we just did. If you had to generate 100% of your business from only 2 lead sources, which 2 would you bet on right now? Nate, I'm going to pick on you because I know you can handle it.
Yep.
But you're only allowed to prospect 2 lead buckets for the next 2 weeks. Which 2 are you doing?
I am re-upping my RedX subscription and cold calling, number 1.
Okay.
And 2, just because it's a consistency issue that I know that will yield for future business, would be YouTube and social media.
Cool. I'm okay with that. Jen Wick, which 2 sources are you focusing on this next week?
Networking and sending out flyers.
Great. Okay. Sounds good. Pick 2. Remember, when you pick 2 things, focus builds traction. Right? Look, if we only have, I don't know about you guys, but like when I'm prospecting or when I'm making cold calls and I'm on the dialer for 3 or 4 hours a day, I get kind of burnt out. toward the end of that window, right? Like making dials for 2 or 3 hours in a row, like that takes effort. That's real work, right? You will be way less productive if you're sitting there on the phone thinking about all the other stuff you have to do this week that is not focusing on your calls, right? So part of this is let's just not have shiny object syndrome for the next 2 weeks. Let's build a routine that we can hit every single day. Picking on Noah again. I bet Noah's bench is like 350 minimum, right, Noah?
I wish.
Yeah, okay. 350. Noah benches 350. Okay. So when Noah goes to the gym, and when Noah went to the gym that first day, I bet you Noah wasn't anywhere near 350. Right, Noah?
Yeah.
Could you even get 2 plates on? I mean, I bet if you were sitting 120 pounds, you're doing pretty good that first day, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. But what happens? You go to the gym consistently and you focus on bench press, right? And you know that bench is going to be, you're going to bench twice a week. You're going to do regular bench. You're going to do the dumbbell incline, decline. You're going to do cable flies. You're going to do all that stuff because you're focused on your bench press. And then what happens? By focusing on your bench and doing those things that will help you bench more, what happens? Your bench goes up, right? So, all right, Noah, I'm guessing I'm not going to guess. What were your 2 lead sources for this week?
This week is cold calling and networking.
Okay. So if you're only focused on cold calling and networking, right? And you know you have to hit those 2 goals. I'm just curious, what are you eliminating this week?
What am I eliminating this week is specifically attending networking events that I've gone to that have it's just you're just catching up with people, or you're just talking to people that don't benefit your business.
Love it. So Noah, let me ask you a question. How much time do you spend going to those networking events that are useless for your business?
I've actually stopped because the networking event that I do go to has yielded me business. So there's no point in me continuing to go to those that don't.
Good. So how much time, I'm just curious, were those events taking that you are no longer going to?
They were probably twice a month, but each will probably I'd spend maybe 2.5, 3 hours there.
Wow. Okay. So twice a month, 2 events, 2.5, 3 hours. That sounds like 10 to 15 hours a month of networking events that yielded no results for you, right? Okay. So do you think if you took 10 or 15 hours and reinvested that into making your calls and doing networking with people that do benefit your business, do you think you would see more traction from those 2 things?
100%.
So let's make sure that happens, right? All right. The last thing, yes, agreed, Noah. The last thing too is complexity kills execution. How many of us have talked to that real estate agent? Oh my God, guys, I got it all figured out. Right? We're gonna take leads from Zillow and we're gonna retarget them on this, and we're gonna invite them this automated thing, and I got these virtual assistants doing this, and I got all this over here, and then 6 months later, that person's selling insurance. We've seen that, right? Because they think they can bypass the system by doing it in a complex way that no one's ever thought about doing it before, right? At the end of the day, complexity kills execution. The more steps you add to a system between you and getting business, the better the odds are that that system fails somewhere in between. Right? Hey, Noah, if I talk to you, if I'm trying to sell you something, Noah, and I talk to you, I would hope that's going to be a more effective pitch than if I talk to Matt to talk to you, right? Whenever you add layers in a system that adds complexity, Whenever you add complexity, that increases the probability of failure. And the thing I'll say is, for the most part, you're adding more complexity than you get benefits from. So the most effective lead generation systems are things that strip everything down and eliminate excuses. Because then you don't need to spend time debugging the layer that you didn't actually need. It could be as easy as picking up the phone or just getting in your car and showing up. Right? There's nothing complex about that. Okay. So when we're talking about time blocking, here's just a very simple schedule for you. This is what we do and how we build our schedules. In the morning, every morning, there's always our proactive green stuff. All green happens in the morning. You're fresh, you're energetic, you're excited, you're hopefully caffeinated. All your good thinking typically happens in the morning. This is a great time to do all your lead gen, all your green activities. In the afternoon, this is the reactive stuff. So this is where we're talking about setting boundaries. For our clients, we always tell them, it might take me 24 hours to get back to you. I've got a portfolio of clients we're working with at a variety of stages, and I promise you, you will get a response from me always in a timely manner. Sometimes it might take me 12 to 18 hours to respond if there's not an emergency going on because we're dealing with other clients who are further along in the process, right? It's all about setting expectations. Clients are reasonable people. So if you're one of these people who's blowing up your morning because you're taking client calls and then that derails you from actually making your contacts, that has to stop right now. I see an aha there, Noah. I like that. So the question I'm going to ask you guys to ask yourselves is, how are you going to create daily money blocks? Every single day, you should have 3 to 4 hours of money-making time set aside. 3 to 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, that is 20 hours a week. That is a part-time job. But you're full-time sales. I'm only asking for part-time commitment here, and you can still change your business. Right? So let's create these daily money blocks so we can make sure we get them all done. Here are just some examples. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 11. Tuesday, Thursday, 2 to 3. I would argue you probably need a couple more money-making blocks in here. You probably need a couple other follow-up blocks in here as well. So we've already done this. Where's your time going? Green is return on time. Yellow, probably a support task. If all your yellows are money-making times, you got to think about that, right? So your yellows right now should probably be support, working on your business, not in it. And then red are going to be the waste of time. If you got a lot of red, you got to get rid of it. Got to clean up your calendar. So once you do this, you should be able to get back at least 5 hours a week for proactive work. So ask yourself, how many hours am I spending every week doing proactive work? If right now you're doing 2 or 3 lead gen blocks of 2 hours a week, that's 4 to 6 hours of time. If you reclaim 5 hours of time that week, you've just doubled up on your lead gen. Whoa. That's not a 20% increase in business. That's a 100% increase in business. Right? So let's get as much time as we possibly can into this proactive work. We talked about reframing your limiting beliefs. Boundaries make you effective. Structure gives you freedom. Consistency above all. Right? So this is what we're going to do for this week, and we're going to talk about it a little more on Friday. Okay? I want you guys to really review your 90-day vision statement and get really, really, really clear on what it is that you're going to do and what standards you're setting for yourself over the next 90 days. I want you to be so clear on this that you are making a promise to yourself about what is going to happen over the next 90 days. Okay? You're also going to dial in your income and your deals goal, right? So I appreciate I just sprung that on you right now. So why don't you take a couple days? We'll talk about more on Friday. Let's talk about really how much income, gross commission income we need to make every year. We're also going to be talking about weekly lead metrics. I'll show you that in a second. This is going to lead to chosen lead sources, and also then a time block weekly plan, right? So once we know the leads that we're going to generate, we're going to focus on our sources, focus on a time block plan. And then at the end of the day, this is going to lead to accountability and a tracker that we're all going to fill out together. Okay. This is how we're going to do accountability on Fridays and Tuesdays, probably Tuesdays every week. We're going to go through basic accountability. So we're all going to go through and figure out one win. We're going to share wins from the week. It's really important. No matter what happens, we always have a win if we did something, right? So you got to pull one win from your week every week. You're also going to have to pull one challenge. Not a loss. We don't lose. Blue Pebble people never lose. We learn, right? And we face challenges and we learn from those experiences, but we don't lose. Losing is when you give up. And there's no one on this call is about to give up over the next 90 days. We need to make a commitment to ourselves about that. So let's get a challenge every week that we know that we can solve or that we can bring to the group to make us all better. Okay? And lastly, figure out a question. Hey, Jared, I don't know. Kids, wife, family, blah, what do I do? Let's talk about it, right? Come up with a question. Okay. And with that, we're going to talk about our accountability tracker really quick. You guys have access to this now in the Google Drive. So if you go into the training and education section, you should see something called the BPH Weekly Activities Tracker. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to track all this. We're going to do it all together. We're going to go through it a few times ourselves. And this is how we're going to do it. So here's what I'm going to ask you guys to track. It's this top row right here. So we're going to track warm contacts. What I mean by a warm contact is, do they know, like, and trust you? Do you know, like, and trust them? Did we have a real estate business conversation? That is a phone call, could be a happy hour, could be a coffee appointment, could be a one-on-one and a networking thing if you had one-on-one time. But if it's a warm lead, warm contact, database contact, that is a warm contact. It counts as a contact if you have a real estate conversation, i.e. asking for the referral. It does not count if you just pick up the phone, dial, say, hey, Joe, it's Jared, and then hang up. That's a dial. Don't laugh, Noah. I know you're guilty of this sometimes. I'm just reiterating, right? It's a contact when you have a real estate conversation. Hey, Joe, it's Jared. Did you get the invitation to our event? Great. Hey, just curious. I'm looking to help people who are dealing with probate right now. Do you know anyone whose parents might be recently passed, or maybe they're dealing with some issues with an estate or probate thing? I'm just trying to get in front of those people. That's a business call, right? Okay. Cold contacts. Getting to your pitch. Nate, you're going to re-upload Redx. Great. If your calling expires. Hey, is it so-and-so? Yeah. Hey, look, whatever script is working for expires now, go for it. You get through the end of that without a hang up. That counts as a contact, even if it's a no. You just got to get through the pitch. Okay. One-on-one meetings, right? Maybe those are networking. They could go into warm. They could go into cold. I don't really know, but I'm just trying to leave a space for one-on-one networking appointments that are not warm, not cold, maybe somewhere in between, right? Like a new network connection, but you don't know them. You don't know if they're warm or cold yet. You don't know who they are, but you have a one-on-one. You talk about your business. That counts as a contact. Group networking events, they only count as one contact. I don't care if you got in front of 100 people. It's only one contact. Because we all know those group networking events, they don't always remember you when the time's right, right? So we can't overestimate the impact of group networking events. Then you got handwritten notes. Jen, this probably goes to flyers if we're going to be doing that. But like anything handwritten, hand-delivered, Popeyes, handwritten notes, whatever, these are the things that will count toward your contact goal for the week. Okay? And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to track the productivity that we had from the week. So we're going to track how many nurtures did we get? How many consultations or appointments do we have? I.e. moving people from a lead to actively having a real estate sales conversation, to then tracking how many listings you take. That includes buyers and sellers, right? Both under one bucket, listings taken, then closings and GCI. Okay. So you guys all have access to this. I'm going to share the link in our chat right now. But really, we're keeping track of warm contacts, cold contacts, one-on-ones, group networking, handwritten notes, flyers, whatever. Everything should fit in that bucket. That will give us a contact number for the week. Okay. So let's set some initial goals for the week. Nate. Wow. Okay. This is great. Live sharing is not working. Okay. Nate, really quick. What is, if you don't mind me asking, what is your income goal for this year in terms of what you're going to make or take home?
My income goal would be 210,000.
That's what you, Nate, take home after all your expenses.
Correct.
Great. So based on our numbers, you probably need to be making at least 60 contacts a week. I would even argue it's more than that, but I don't want to scare you too much. Right? So let's get you to 60 a week. Okay. Noah Werner, what's your goal?
My goal would be take away this year 80K.
Okay. So Noah, you got to be making at least 25 solid contacts every week. Right? At least.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's more than that based on your data. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jen, what's your goal?
120,000.
Great. How often are you making 35 contacts a week, Jen?
Not
Think we
right
can
now
start-
at all.
Think we can start right now?
I'm sure as hell gonna try.
You're going to do it
Yes,
because
sir.
you're a consistent person.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Look, this is not 35 contacts in a day. It's in a week, right? And if you look at our numbers, on average, what happens is you make, if you're really focused on it, you can make 6 to 8 contacts an hour when you're hand dialing on your phone. So if you got to make 35 a week at, let's say, 6 per hour, what is that? 6 hours of time? Do you have 6 hours of time to devote to your real estate business right now?
I can make 6 hours of time to do, but yeah.
I like that. 6 hours a week, right? So do it for a couple of days, Jen. See how it goes. See what the rhythm feels like. You're going to get more efficient over time. And then once we can track your data for a week or two, then we can really figure out, and it becomes an iterative process, right? Okay, well, I'm going to start out making 35. Jared says I need at least 6 hours, maybe 8. So let's block out 8 hours on your calendar over the next 5 business days to do that. And let's see how many contacts you can make. Okay? By the way, Jen, I bet if you did that for a week, I bet you find a deal. Knowing you and your business and kind of what your experience is, I bet if you make 35 contacts in a week, I bet you find a deal. Cool. So before we go, and I appreciate everyone taking a couple extra minutes here, but these are going to be the 3 truths we're going to live by this quarter. Consistency beats intensity. It is much better to do an hour a day every single day than to burn yourself out with 3 or 4 hours and not do it again for another 2 weeks. In this case, the tortoise versus the hare, the tortoise wins. Right? A little bit every day, just like going to the gym, it builds on itself, becomes a muscle in itself, you build a routine. Clarity creates momentum. This is about not being complex. Nate Strouch, just pick up the freaking phone, man. Right? I mean, that's literally what you just said. Just pick up the freaking phone. Okay, cool. Nothing complicated about that. You are a baller salesperson. You are a great real estate professional. Just pick up the freaking phone, have some conversations, right? That is as clear as it possibly can be, right? And Noah Werner, action builds identity. If you're not sure who you are as a real estate agent, or maybe you're building your business as a sales professional or whatever, and you don't know, it doesn't feel right, it's not ever going to figure it out until you actually do it. Who cares if you feel awkward? You're going to feel broke if you don't do anything. Would you rather feel awkward or broke?
Awkward.
Yes. Because when you're broke, you feel awkward anyway, right? So you're going to feel awkward. It's just a question whether you have money in your pocket or not. And I would argue it's a lot better to be awkward with money in your pocket than awkward without money in your pocket, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So action
Sir.
builds identity. What's up, Jen? Yeah, okay. Action builds identity. So if we're confused about who we are or we're confused about what we're doing, I give you the grace to say, F it. I'm doing it anyway. Because at least by doing it, we're going to learn something. We're going to be able to collect data. We're going to be able to figure it out. And then even if it doesn't work, we can iterate and get better. But if we don't even do it the first time and we don't track the data and we don't try it again, we're never going to know if it would have worked or not. Right? Nate, you could be the next Mr. Beast or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Right. Yep.
I think you're a more personal guy than Mr. Beast. I think he's pretty awkward. I like you a lot better than Mr. Beast. Okay? So you want to be a YouTube guy? Great. Go be consistent about it. Go do it. And you're going to build that identity anyway. You know? Cool, guys. Well, hey, a little bit of a kick in the butt. And I appreciate you letting me kick your butts for 100 minutes just now. Okay? And I hope the takeaway was twofold. One, it's about activity being simple and it's time on task over time. It is not winning this all in one shot. Okay? And number two is it's going to be painful. If we just do everything that we've been doing, we're not going to get any different results. And we're all in this class, we're all in this business, we're all at Blue Pebble because we want different results. We want something different for ourselves. We want to be somewhere and we're not there yet. Right? So let's just enjoy that. Enjoy the process. And we're going to crush it over the next 90 days. Okay?
Awesome.
Awesome, guys. Any questions really quick before we break up for the day?
Nope.
Cool. Awesome. Well, go look for the tracker. Let me know if you have any questions if you kind of find it. And we will workshop all this on Friday. And so I really appreciate you guys taking the time. We'll see you next week.
Jared.
See ya.
All right. See you later, guys.